Hello friends. Now let us continue the topic that we learned last time. The transport system in plants as well as in animals and transport system in human being particular, and we have seen the structure of the most important organ in the human transport system, and that is heart. Yeah, we have seen internal structure of the heart. And last time I have also requested you to please practice and draw the diagram of that. Now today we are continuing with the understanding of mechanism of circulation. How blood is circulated in our body. Friends, you will be surprised to listen that the rate of circulation is very rapid. As you know that in 1 minute our heart pump about 72 times. And if you just calculate the amount of blood that is pumped every time, it is about 70 to 80 milliliter of blood, and therefore it goes around 5 liters of blood per minute our heart pump. So that is the great efficiency our heart shows, and therefore it is very interesting to understand how this circulation of the blood occurs. Moreover, we have to also understand it is a double circulation. Why it is so? We are going to discuss in this video. Once again, I would like to have your attention on this particular structure. Here you can see this is the right atrium, this is the right ventricle, this is the left atrium, and this is the left ventricle. Now we have to understand here also we have given the sequence of mechanism that how blood passes from where to where. First of all, we will try to understand with the help of this diagram. Can you see that in our body the deoxygenated blood is collected from lower extremities with the help of inferior vena cava, from the lower part of our body? It is called inferior vena cava vein, major vein. It carries the blood and pour into the right atrium. Similarly, from upper extremities the deoxygenated blood from all the cells, they are collected with the help of capillaries, venules and veins. And all these veins from the upper extremities, they combine to form a superior vena cava that pours the blood into this atrium. In fact, when atrium expand, the blood from inferior vena cava and superior vena cava, it is poured. That's what we have to understand. Later on, this blood, which is said to be deoxygenated blood, it enters into the right ventricle. How? When atrium contracts and ventricle expands. So this is the process going on continuously. Okay. Then when atrium contracts and ventricle relaxes or expand, the blood from this right atrium goes to the right ventricle through this tricuspid valve. Why it is called tricuspid? Because it is having 3 cup-like structures, 1, 2 and 3 like this, and therefore this cup can open the heart in only one direction. Okay, and the reverse direction is not possible in that way. Moreover, these cusps are held together by chordae tendineae. These are the fibrous structures which are attached to the inner wall of this ventricle. Anyway, the blood then enters in the right ventricle. Now this deoxygenated blood, where it has to be sent? It has to be sent to the lungs for oxygenation. Yes, and therefore when the right ventricle contract, okay, it undergoes severe contraction, it pushes the blood to the blood capillary that the blood vessel that takes blood to the left and right lobes of lungs, that we called as pulmonary artery. Okay, it is the exception, you have to remember. It is artery but carries the deoxygenated blood to the lungs. Here you can also observe the semilunar valve. Friends, try to understand when this right ventricular contraction takes place, these valves, they get closed because they are made like this, that close like this. Okay, and these valves, which are said to be semilunar, they open and blood goes to the lungs with the help of this pulmonary artery which form the arch. It's called as pulmonary arch. One branch goes to the right way and one goes to the left way of the lungs. Okay, so this is the way actually the first circulation takes place. Now at the same time, the blood from lungs which is oxygenated, it is carried to the left atrium with the help of pulmonary vein. You can see here it is a one pair of pulmonary vein, and this is the second pair of pulmonary vein which is carrying the blood from right lungs and left lobe of lung to the left atrium. Here there are two pairs of opening in fact in the left atrium present, and oxygenated blood then enters or pour into this left atrium. When left atrium expands, it can take the blood. So it is a receiving chamber. When blood received by left atrium over here oxygenated, then it is pushed forcibly when the left atrium contracts and left ventricle expands. The blood enters into the left atrium by passing this valve. It is called as mitral valve, or it is called as bicuspid valve, because it is having only two cusps. Okay, and therefore it is called as bicuspid. When blood is pushing from atrium, it opens like this, but when the ventricle contracts, it pushes and it closes down the reverse entry of the blood. So that's the role of valve. Valve prevent the backflow of the blood into the left atrium from the left ventricle. Okay, so when this, you can see, you also have to notice the walls of this left ventricle. They are the thickest ever of the all four chambers, because it has to pump the blood at such a force that it has to distribute this blood throughout the body. Okay, and therefore here the left ventricle, when it contracts, it pushes the blood, here you can see, into this blood vessel. This is the major blood vessel. It is called as aorta. Then it passes from backside of the heart, that we call dorsal side, and therefore it goes down to the body. It's called dorsal aorta. And similarly, it is divided into three main branches. One goes to the right side of our body, upper extremities. One goes to the left hand of our body, and one goes to the head. So in this way, the blood is distributed, oxygenated blood. So this is what we call as circulation of the blood. How from the body blood is entered into the heart, how it is sent to the lungs for oxygenation. This is one. It is called as pulmonary circulation. And in the second way, from lungs, oxygenated blood is once again enter into the heart. It goes to the ventricle and then goes to the body. Okay, so from body to the heart, from heart to the lungs, from lungs to the heart, and from heart to the body. Okay, so this is the sequence. You can see superior and inferior vena cava. They collect the blood that enters into the right atrium. In the right atrium, here you can see it is a deoxygenated blood. When the right atrium contracts, okay, rhythmic contraction and relaxation of atrium and atrium takes place within the 0.8 seconds. I will explain you later. And this then pushed into the right ventricle, corresponding ventricle, which passes through tricuspid valve. From right ventricle, then the right ventricle contracts and it enters into the pulmonary artery to carry this deoxygenated blood to the lungs for oxygenation, and it passes the pulmonary valve. So this semilunar valve is called as pulmonary valve. Try to understand, friend. This pulmonary valve prevent the backflow of the blood when the right ventricle expands and takes blood from right atrium. Okay, so right ventricle when expand, it takes the blood from right atrium. At that time, the blood from the pulmonary artery should not go back. To prevent this backflow of the blood, this valve, they are working. From pulmonary artery, yes, here it goes to the lungs. For what? For oxygenation. Then from lungs, this oxygenated blood, you can also notice here. Here I have shown with the help of blue color. So blue color indicates the deoxygenated blood, and when blood enters into the lungs, it gets oxygenated, oxygen get imbibed, oxygen get diffused in the blood, which is being carried with the help of hemoglobin. It goes to the left atrium. Yes, from lungs it comes to the left atrium. From left atrium is go to the left ventricle. Of course, when it goes to the left ventricle, it is a mitral valve or a bicuspid valve. Then from left ventricle it goes to, it pushes to the aorta and to the rest of the body toward upper extremities, toward the lower extremities. So this is the circulation of blood occurs through the heart. This is a very important aspect, friends. Try to understand. Most of the time a very interesting question is being asked that explain the mechanism of circulation of blood. Systematically you have to explain with the help of these two diagrams. One is called as flow chart, or one is called as diagrammatic diagram, where the arrows of the blood flows indicating the mechanism. Then let me go towards one more interesting topic of this particular aspect of this, what we called as, what is the advantage of perfectly four-chambered heart to aves and mammals? Yeah, always this question is being asked. The separation of right side and left side of the heart is useful to keep oxygenated blood. What we have seen on the right hand side, deoxygenated blood comes, and on the left hand side, oxygenated blood is related. So therefore, these are separated by the interventricular and interatricular walls. Okay, and therefore these two chambers, they are separated from each other. So they are helpful to keep oxygenated and deoxygenated blood from mixing. Such separation allows highly efficient supply of oxygen. That's what important. Okay, what is the significance of separation of these four chambers as compared to the lower animals, where the heart is two-chambered in case of fishes, we will see it later, and three-chambered in amphibia and reptiles. These are four-chambered in case of warm-blooded animals, where we have to maintain high energy for maintaining the temperature of the body and other metabolic processes. Yeah, high oxygen supply, efficient oxygen supply is possible because of that, and that is the advantage of that. Okay, so here you can see these are the two diagrams where these two diagrams are indicating clearly that how the circulation is taking place. Now you also have to notice, friend, this is an amphibian heart. Yeah, this is the amphibian heart, heart of amphibia. Okay, heart of the amphibia, right? And this is the heart. You can see this how it works. Okay, so this diagram will helping you that it is a three-chambered heart, you can see. Okay, and only one ventricle is there, two auricles are there, and how this this arrow is indicating how the mechanism of circulation takes place in the what we call them as amphibia. And animals like amphibians that do not use energy for the purpose, you know that amphibians mostly live in water and on the land. Okay, and therefore they are said to be cold-blooded animals. Okay, the body temperature depends on the temperature in the environment. Okay, they are therefore called as cold-blooded animals. Cold-blooded means they cannot maintain their body temperature constant. According to the temperature of the environment, they changes their body temperature. Okay, such animals like amphibians or many reptiles, they have three-chambered hearts and tolerate some mixing of the oxygenated and deoxygenated streams of the blood. Yes, in reptiles also heart is three-chambered. However, exception is crocodile, where heart is four-chambered. Exception is crocodile, which is a reptiliad belonging to the class Reptilia, but still is having four chambers. But anyhow, you can see that evolutionary development in terms of circulatory system can be noticed with the help of study of this heart, that aves are having four-chambered heart, mammals are having four-chambered heart. But if you go in Pisces, two-chambered, in amphibia three-chambered, in reptilia four-chambered, but in developed amphibia, reptilia like crocodile, four-chambered heart is seen there. Okay, then here you can see circulation in fishes. It's very interesting because this is also a question being asked most of the time, that if you see the fishes in aquarium, it seems that they are drinking too much water. Okay, and they are therefore taking much more amount of water, and they are respiring very rapidly and fast. Why? The first reason is that in water less amount of oxygen is present compared to the oxygen in air. Number one. Second, you can see here when the fishes take water, in fact along with the water, when this water passes along these gills, the gills imbibe oxygen, very less oxygen present in water. Okay, and therefore gills are said to be the most efficient in terms of imbibing and diffusing the oxygen inside their body. And this is the circulation, single circulation seen in this fishes. They are having only two-chambered heart. Here atrium, please try to understand here. Here it is atrium and here it is a ventricle. As you know that atrium is always a receiving chamber, this one, and ventricle is a distributing chamber. This very wonderful diagram is indicating how the flow of blood takes place. When deoxygenated blood is collected from the body, it goes to the atrium. From atrium it goes to the ventricle. From ventricle under pressure it passes through various blood vessels on the gills. When this deoxygenated blood passes from the gills, the water flows along with it and oxygen is imbibed and diffused in this blood, and then oxygenated blood is then sent to the body directly. Okay, so only once the blood from body enters into the heart and it goes to the gills for oxygenation, oxygenated blood directly goes to the body. So that's the beauty of single circulation, but therefore the efficiency of these types of lower animals or lower vertebrates is lower as compared to the higher vertebrates like human being and mammals. Okay, so in case of aves and mammal, it is a double circulation. Why it is called? Because the blood passes twice. Once it comes from the body, goes to the heart, then from heart it goes to the lungs. From lungs once again it comes to the heart, and then from heart it goes to the body, and therefore it is called as double circulation. So this is the beautiful diagram, and this is the aspect we have to understand. Oxygenation of blood and double circulation. Yeah, it's very important. This is also a diagram which is mentioned in our book, friends. In human, there are two types of circulation we described. It's called pulmonary circulation and one is called as systemic circulation. Now, what is pulmonary circulation and what is systematic circulation? In pulmonary circulation, blood from, try to understand, right ventricle. This is the right ventricle. Blood from right ventricle, here it goes through pulmonary artery to the lungs. For what? Oxygenation. Once the blood is oxygenated in the lungs, you can see there are two lobes of the lungs, right and left. So from these lungs, then after oxygenation, this oxygenated blood enters into the left atrium, then to the left ventricle, and from left ventricle it goes to the systemic aorta that goes to the body, throughout the body. So that we called as first type of circulation, we called as a pulmonary circulation. In systemic circulation, oxygenated blood is then pumped by left ventricle, okay, then it enters into the major vein, then it goes to the body. So oxygenated blood is supplied to the body where all the tissues and the cells in the body, they are using them, and after using that O2 and after releasing the CO2 in the respiration, it is collected by capillaries and then venules and then veins, and then it enters with the help of inferior vena cava and superior vena cava to the right atrium. From right atrium it goes once again to the right ventricle, and from right ventricle it goes to the lungs. So in this way the double circulation occurs. One more interesting feature you have to also understand, friends, that this aorta also has one very small blood vessel that supplies blood to the heart wall, that we call coronary artery. Artery which supplies blood, oxygenated blood to the wall of the heart, coronary artery. And most of the time we often listen that the blocks that occur in heart, actually this is the very fine blood artery, coronary artery, where the blocks occurs. Okay. Similarly, the deoxygenated blood from the wall or the tissues of the wall of the heart is collected by coronary vein, and that coronary vein pours that deoxygenated blood into the right atrium. There is another third opening, actually we also have to understand it. Okay, so this is the mechanism of double circulation. We have to understand, we have to draw this diagram of only. If it is not possible to draw this diagram of lungs, you can write the word lungs. Here you can write the body, and this four-chambered heart you can draw diagrammatically. Okay, so as the blood goes through the heart twice during each cycle, this is known as double circulation, and double circulation improves efficiency of transport of the material as well as particularly oxygen, which demand more energy. Okay, so with this explanation, friends, I conclude this lecture for you. I request you to go again and again for this video, try to understand, and if you are having any doubt, you can subscribe my channel and where you can ask me the questions. If you like this video, you please press the button like, and this is the YouTube channel BioDNA for you. This is Dr. Sunil Modak. I am happy to just get this very interesting matter for you. With this I conclude today. Thank you very much. We'll go for the next topic on tomorrow. Thank you very much.